Well. Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus. Can't turn you loose yet. Day is young. Spirit gives me some information, and I bring that information to you. Who knows? It's going to work. You know, Americans that are not liked that much for some obvious reasons, but you can't scare them. A lot of people that you put down or don't want to be around, make laws perhaps, but you just can't scare them. You can't scare them away. And until the problem is solved, they will always be there. Now that might be a message in that, especially when you think about black people. They haven't gone anywhere. Neither has the problems that comes with the system. Rewriting history simply means many are more prone to hate than love, more interested in killing than living. But I think every American should have the opportunity, and thanks, they've been given that opportunity. But what really got me on the subject today, ladies and gentlemen, is that I was listening to a preacher on the soap, and he kind of came off like he was going to be supportive and like he had some enlightenment, and I decided I wanted to hear what he had to say. So I listened to him for a while, and as I listened, I was reminded that he was still coming from the same place that most people come from. LGBT, and I think that's Z, I'm not sure what follows, but we do know what is being referenced. Now, what do I, as a child of God, as a black son of God, say in relationship to this? I don't know what the scripture says. I do know the Spirit of God. And what is being said for me to say to you is that we have been brought up, many of us, in a society where you got a man and a woman producing children, so on and so forth. Great. We don't have, and we haven't been given too much training, as some people want to say now, people are getting training. We didn't get any training about homosexuality as far as manipulating people to engage in it. I'm sure people who were homosexuals probably, they just like you. A male, you want a woman, you talk to her. A woman want a man, you talk. A man want a man, he talks. And a man want to be talked to, he just talk. If he want, he'll keep on stepping. Same thing with a woman. But I want to ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. We Americans or Christians or whomever you might be, upset with a man, making it with a man because they can't produce children. Others are upset with women, making it with women because they can't produce children. And since they can't produce children, then God must be against that. I realize that there are many women out here who are normal women, normal men who can't produce children. But anyway, we have been taught that's understandable. But when a man and a man can't produce and a woman can't produce, that got to be anti-God. And that you who hold yourselves godly and holy got to do something about it. And the question in my mind is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? The Spirit of God says this. If you forgot or never knew, let me remind you or tell you. All we got to do is love. We got to love LGBT, ZQ, whatever might be at it, the same as we love heterosexual. If you love them, you gotta love. It's no you can love heterosexual, but you can't love the gay. You must be crazy. And you are, because you don't know what love is. If you love one, you love the other. And if one is wrong, and it's not affecting you, not causing you pain, not causing you suffering, and it's wrong, then you let God fix that. That's God's business. You make sure that gay person knows that there's no difference between the love that you hold for that gay person and a man and a woman, a white man, a black man, a gay, all the same dead blast the same. And what is that? That each of them should have access to participation in this life. In other words, a career that they get a chance to choose, that give them their greatest joy. And in doing it, we are using the resources, as you know, I always say, that came with the earth, meaning they came from God, didn't come from anybody else. Oh, I know the systems have been designed to rip God up, to cut all of us up. But that's the way it is. But I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, there is reasons and there's difference. So I say to you, let us protect one another in life. If we want to represent God, and I tell you this because I've been given to tell you this, out of everything that you know and everything that you're doing, all the Jewishness and all of every religious faith you might be, wherever you are, I'm not going to try to go through that because most of them I forgot anyway. As children of God, what do? We love one another, we care about one another, and we protect one another. And basically in bodies, in this form, what we basically do is what I just said a moment ago. We assure to one another, black men like me, white men like you, and some of us are decent people like Jimmy Carter, and some of us are corrupt people like Donald Trump. But God loves us all, and God prepared that every last one of us could live on this earth as though we are in heaven. Not everybody knows how that is to be accomplished, because in our selfishness, in our individual selfishness, it kind of keeps us separated. Selfishness, our individual selfishness does not even connect with our husbands and with our wives. And we say we're going to be with them till we die, even though half of us or more separate by 10 years. But that's beside the point. That's just an effort to show us how you fail when you're not connected with the real stuff. If we are connected with the real stuff, we're making sure that not just every American, not just people who are a part of the G7 or the G20 or whatever they might be, or the nations that are with the NATO nations, or the nations that are free and prosperous. We do everything we possibly can with those nations that are connected with us, aligned with us. And who are they? All of us, sinners. But we want to make a change. We want to do the right thing. We want to make sure that everybody got a job, that everybody can love what they do day and night. You don't have to fuss and fight. You don't have to lie, cheat, and steal. You don't have to be a hater. You don't have to be a racist or a bigot. Because what you got is your needs met, your wants met, your desires met. You are satisfied with your life. You live in peace and you're prosperous and you're free. You got joy in your life and you're happy. And the life that you used to dream about, you're living it now, because you realize that you are a very important person. But you're no more important than the person on either side of you, in front or behind you. You have to work together to live this joy of life that you've been praying for. You've learned now that you don't have to pray, but you can get off your knees and start treating each other like you want to be treated. And the thief can't get in. And where the thief rests, when you start doing this, the thief has no place to do but get the hell out. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, on this Sunday evening, I'm saying to you, you know, these choices exist. And yes, we have been taught to be everything that we are. But if God touched me today and said, Eddie, what do you think? Do people on earth love me based upon just my exposure and experience? I would say no. He would say, well, why do you say that? I say, how can they love you when they can't love one another? And if loving one another is an expression of how much they love you, then we as people have failed. And there's none that we can separate from any of us. All of us that are alive, we are all in the same old boat. We are all guilty. We are all responsible. And we are all to be held accountable. Why do I say that? Because in my lifetime, I have seen some examples. I've read about them, but I've seen some examples in my lifetime. I've seen examples of a black man who loved human beings and who loved God and who stood for right. And before he would go along with this hellishness of America, he would be killed. Now, America held up Jesus Christ as something super fantastic. But he was a man who held himself up just like that and took a bullet. Now, to me, that was loving God. That was an example for us who walk around here thinking we loving God, to let us know, hey, baby, we got some stepping up to do. But then not only that, there was another man. He didn't talk about love any different than Martin Luther King, but he talked about a different expression. He talked it through Muslim, I guess you can call it that, Islam. He was talking about Allah. And then you know what? The story was a little bit different than the story that we get in the Bible. But what about the conduct? The conduct, the advocacy was basically the same. It wasn't as nonviolent as Dr. King talked about, but Christians weren't that nonviolent. Everybody got the right to defend themselves if they're being attacked. But he talked about defending himself, and he talked about love, and he talked about righteousness. And what did it get him? It got him the same thing that Dr. King got. It was a sign to those of the Islamic faith that God that is loving enough through the Christian faith that would allow Dr. King to be an example to the rest of the Christian world will also allow Malcolm X to be an example to that world of Islam. My. And then I heard, I think you might have a little earlier, of a man who was representative of the Indian faith. I think he was from India. You know who I'm talking about. They call him Mahatma Gandhi. Sometimes when I think about how you might have to suffer in this life, and you won't have access to the things of this life, and you're going to look kind of funny and raggedy because you don't really have anything if you're standing for righteousness. And I'm reminded how the movie said Gandhi looked, raggedy mouth, no teeth. So it kind of make you, if you got that, you don't feel so bad, because Gandhi is known for doing some good stuff. So good of stuff in representing the God that he knew, that it got him an opportunity to stand up and give the same representation as Jesus, as Martin Luther King, as Malcolm X, even as Abraham Lincoln. And some have said John Brown. I don't know any different, but until I hear different, I'll even add him to the stack. And all of those others, men and women all over America who have lost their lives standing up for what is right, even though we never heard of them before. It's an indication that every last one of us are going to have to make that same kind of decision before we can be able to live the kind of life that we were designed to live. And until you can make that decision, you can stop calling yourself a Christian. You can stop calling yourself one of the Islamic faith. You ain't nothing but hypocrites. What do I mean by that? People who pretend. They want to pretend like they are, act like they are. Somebody call them, what? Wolves in sheep's clothing. Walking around here speaking that stuff about God's love, trying to take away your right to be an individual, trying to take away your right to stand up and be free, talking about God. And if you don't know God, you'll go along with it. And you can say you know God as a hypocrite and be mad and fuss and go along with it. But if you know God, you'll die before you go along with it. Gladly. That's the difference between people who are sold to this world or people who've been born again. People who are born again can't stand this crap. They're not mad with the people. They know the people have been deceived. But they're not going to buy into the same crap any longer. they're going to change, and you're going to know they're going to change. And they're changing so you can see they have changed, and you can follow if you want, or you can stay right where you are. They are being true to God and to who God has exposed them to be. Let me see. Did I say it all? Let me see if I missed anything. Let us act like children of God before we say anything to those we condemn. Let us act like children of God. I think that had reference to do with the LG to gay people. A lot of us want to go over and try to instruct, calling ourselves holy, and poverty and pain and suffering all around us. Stuff you see that people are begging for help. I don't think any gay people are asking you to help them in anything. But people who are homeless are asking. People who don't have food, who don't have access to education, people who are going through a lot of pain and stuff, they're asking, they're begging, they're praying. And where you at? Where you at? Somebody might say, where you at, hypocrite? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, where you at, brother? Because until you change, hey, we ain't going nowhere. We love you. Till next time, Eddie Marcus say goodbye for now.